empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? We're 6 seconds, point A to point B, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go.
Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It is Tuesday. We are getting ready for Michigan State. We just stomped Rutgers. We are moving along in the Big Ten, and all these players are dying to whip the Spartans and get to that bye week, because that bye week is always lovely and wonderful, and our guys need it because we are very, very nicked up. There are a lot of guys that need that extra rest, and for some of these guys, they get to go home and see their family for a couple days, so that'll be great. So we're gonna get right into it. Got Nevadabuck on this show. But as always, thank you guys. Our YouTube is exploding. It's all because of you guys. Also, follow us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, our audio edition. So please search The Morning Scoop in both those platforms. If you could leave us a 5-star review in those, that would be tremendous. But those platforms are growing as well. And some of you guys might not have even known they existed because I don't promote them the way I promote our YouTube. So go on your local platforms that you like to listen to your podcasts on. Find us at The Morning Scoop. Give us that 5-star review and enjoy our excellent content. Everything that we put on YouTube also is done in audio form. So some of you guys that are working out in the morning, driving to work, whatever, it is up bright and early, ready for you guys to rock. So with that being said, thank you guys as always for bringing my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to the end of the first season one, which is Michigan State game. First half of the season, it's got a nice little convenient break after that, and we kind of get into the meat of the schedule. But I think Ohio State's really pointing towards this game to finish the first half of the season strong. So I'm looking forward to it and can't wait for Saturday.
What is your optimal result for the Michigan State game, like leading into the bye week?
Well, the obvious answer is no injuries and things like that, and but you're really just looking to get better every week. You're looking to to unveil a little bit more about learn a little bit more about the defense. Unveil a little bit more of the packages. Offensively to show a little bit more balance. Maybe activate that 2 running back scheme. Just continue to dominate. I mean, Ohio State's been able to dodge any of the upset bugs that have kind of played college football for a lot of the blue bloods, and really hasn't had much of a close game other than the Notre Dame game. Was a little bit uncomfortably close there for 2.5 quarters, but no, just keep getting better, play well, and really navigate your first road game. And that's the wild card. Up until now, everything's been at home, everything's been easy, everybody's been cheering for us. Now you're going on the road, going to the small locker room, staying in the strange place. And the fans aren't going to be quite as welcoming as the Ohio State fans are. So it's I think it's going to be a big challenge, nice challenge for Ohio State, and I think they'll be up for it.
Yeah, Ypsilanti is never a great place to stay. Hotel-wise, that's generally where the team stays at. But the beauty of this road game is it's not a night game, and there's a bye week after it. So again, this isn't going to be one where guys are going to be exhausted, and Ryan will probably practice them 2 or 3 days during the bye week. I would imagine they're going to get out of there on Thursday, have Friday, Saturday, be back Sunday off. But the kids that are from Florida, the kids that are from Texas, they can go home. All the kids can go to their high school games. It's always a great feeling to just veg out. I remember in 2005, we had that bye week. I broke my foot in the game, was in a lot of pain. And then I didn't even practice the bye week, which was amazing by Jim Tressel for saying, hey, you don't need to practice this week. I was like, thank God, because my foot's killing me. But I think it's a great time, because we have a lot of guys that are dinged up. Trey missed the game, Jackson Smith and Jigba. And now, granted, if we're playing Georgia or Bama, are those guys strapping up? Probably. Against Rutgers, there's no need to risk any further injury, especially with the soft tissue variety of Jackson Smith. You really got to nurture that kid really till Penn State. I mean, I don't care if he straps up again until we play the Nittany Lions, because that's going to be really our only test left other than Michigan on our regular season schedule. Nevada, you nailed the score, 49-10. Congrats on that. What did you think of Ryan Day defending his punter versus Greg Schiano? I thought that it was, it was good, because I'm sure that, he didn't appreciate Greg Schiano kind of making the insinuation that Ryan would have called a fake punt up by that dramatic of a margin. But what was your take on that little brouhaha that happened towards the end of the game. I loved it because, again, that was probably the most exciting part of the entire game for me. But what were your thoughts on that?
Well, the big thing for me, and we can talk all about, I mean, clearly it wasn't called. Clearly, Rutgers was trying to block it. Yada yada yada. But the
Mhm.
big thing was Schiano came all the way across the field, and like when you come all the way across the field, I mean that's a problem. I mean, so for Ryan Day to react the way that he did, I thought was totally appropriate. I'm sure I've talked about this many times. I know the Ohio State players appreciate stuff like that. I know that this particular one was particularly pleasing to them, given that this was a little out of character for Ryan. He's a fiery guy, a tough guy, but he showed a different level of fieriness that everybody in the Ohio State team got a big kick out of. So now, after the game, they were all hugging, and it all was better. But in the moment, it was a lot of fun to watch, and it was nice to know that Ryan's got that gear. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it was interesting watching Greg Schiano. I was at the stadium watching the game, and and he really takes liberties with the coach's box. I mean, he was down to the 20-yard line, well outside the coach's box. He's like one of those coaches, honestly, a lot like Urban, where he kind of goes where he wants, and if an official wants to give him a warning, they can. But I think that the officials were a little lax in letting him get away with, really like patrolling wherever he want to go, standing out on the field, being demonstrative, which again, I don't mind the energy by Greg Schiano. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he has one of that Rutgers is one of the worst jobs in the entire country. Like, let's make no bones about it. There's good talent in New Jersey, but it's generally going to go to Penn State, Ohio State, Bama, somewhere that's a lot better than Rutgers. So it's really tough to pull in-state talent. It is not a good brand. And you're generally going to be one of the three worst teams in the Big Ten, no matter who is the coach or who the players are. This is what it is. But yeah, it was interesting, and I always, there's always that little wrinkle that when Ryan took the program over, the first thing he did was dismiss Greg Schiano. He kind of cleaned house a little bit. He brought in Greg Madison to run the defense. So I always wonder about that because I remember me and you in 18, we were watching that defense, and I remember you said that, like, in the history of college football, no team's given up more 70-yard plays than that defense had. And it was almost comical to the point where you see really bad teams, and Maryland, Booger McFarland Jr. had 400 yards against us, and then he was never heard from again. And it was just comically bad. But do you think any of that bad blood was from the fact that Ryan dismissed Greg Schiano basically like his first day on the job?
I think they've kind of gotten through that point. I think it was just more of a heat of the moment type of thing because actually, Greg and Ryan are kind of close, and they actually, they stay in contact during the off season, and they were chummy in the run up, they were chummy in the game afterwards. So I think it was just kind of a heat of the moment type of kerfuffle where Shiano's coming across the field and Day's getting mad at him for happening. But no, but your comments about the 2018 defense were spot on. That was horrible. I still have post-traumatic stress from watching that team because it just seemed like every other game we'd give up a 70 or 80 yard play from scrimmage. I mean, that should happen like once a year, and it would just happen with regularity. In the Maryland game, I still can't believe we won that game.
Oh my
Not
God.
for that the 2-point conversion where the quarterback couldn't complete the 3-yard pass and throw it into the ground. Saved the season. I guess that ended up in a Rose Bowl, so that was nice. So no, I like Schiano. Schiano's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. I've always liked him. I've always admired the job they did at Rutgers when he took that team up to number 2 and had some big upsets along the way. So it was fun watching him get beat, but I'm sure there'll be better days ahead for Rutgers and for him personally.
Yeah, I just think when you're at a program like that, the bar's so low. It's a program that's never won at any type of major level. It's kind of the opposite of Nebraska. Like them in Nebraska, almost the same jobs. I mean, it's hard for me to say that Rutgers is a better job than Nebraska because Nebraska's got much better facilities, much better, basically everything. But New Jersey has much better talent than Nebraska does in state. So I don't know. And the biggest difference is that the perception, the fan base, and the expectations are much lower at Rutgers. So I root for them. I root for Greg Schiano. I root for all our former coaches as long as they weren't bad on the way out. If they're trying to build a program, and if Rutgers is playing Illinois or something, of course I'll root for Rutgers because we still, that in 18, no matter how bad we were, we still cracked Michigan, biggest Michigan win of all time. We won the Rose Bowl. It was a fitting end to send Urban Meyer out. But that being said, I really love Jim Knowles' defense. And with that going on, we're going to get right into the film room. First snap of the game, Jack Sawyer gets to start with Zach Harrison. Zach Harrison was named player of the game. Nevada, what did you think of Zach Harrison's effort in this one? He showed up big time as a 3 technique, which I think is, people thought he was going to be Chase Young. I think he could end up being like a Draymond, a big D end who moves down here, long arms, all harder for these guards to block. Here they are running a counter. They run it with no vigil. I mean, Zach does his job, tackles the running back. And then you've got your defensive pursuit. There's nothing there. Tommy again, explosive as can be. He's got to be a first-team All-American at this point in the year. But what were your thoughts on the defense on Saturday and what Jim Knowles has been doing?
Well, I just think I think what we have to come to the realization is that we don't have Chase Young, we don't have a Bosa brother there at the defensive end. And maybe our defensive ends are more kind of Cam Hayward type of defensive ends than they are those big bending pass rusher types. And that's why we're so stout against the run. And, that's why a guy like Zach Harrison may be better on the inside, like a Doug Worthington type, a big, tall guy that can play on the inside of the interior defensive line and cause some matchup problems and knock some passes down as he did and cause that turnover. So, I think we just maybe have to reset our expectations about the defense and in terms of what we're looking at and kind of redefine success because, we're finding a lot of success. We're a top 10 defense in the country right now, albeit against the schedule. It hasn't been a murderer's row. Nobody's played a murderer's row schedule. And the improvement in Ohio State's defense is palpable. It's readily available for anybody to see from week to week. And I thought this week was another step.
Yeah, this is a great play by Steele Chambers. Steele was player of the game along with Zach. So literally these two guys right here were your 2 defensive players of the game per the defensive staff. But these run fits are just perfect. I mean, every gap is taken. There's nowhere to go on this. Steele defeats the guard. And you see the energy of these guys rallying to the ball, which is something that I was very critical of that last year. I didn't think our guys played hard last year, and that was something that that's either taught or that's allowed, and I felt like that was allowed last year, and I don't think Jim Knowles allows it. I think he's a guy that's gonna, if you don't feel like playing hard or you don't feel like playing with effort, then you can stand next to him and watch. And he's pulled guys, and it's been I think it's been a nice little change up that these guys know if they don't show up on a given day, it's a wrap. So this is a very funky look. So we've got a shade, a 3, and a 5. A shade is on the outside shoulder of the center. A 3 techniques outside shoulder of the guard. Super overload, and then you have Jack as the wide 9. So again, some of these funky looks are things that you can do against Rutgers, and you can show a blitz over there. You can kind of do the eye candy. They do a stunt here, and again, this is some of the stuff you can experiment with when you have a lower opponent. Like I don't think you do this against Georgia, but I think you can experiment and try some stuff. So they run a little game here. 3 technique loops out. Zach loops in, tries to split them. It's really a difficult game because it's just something you just don't see. Like people don't. This isn't a sound defensive front, but it's difficult. And I think that something that I like about Jim Knowles is he really understands what offensive lines do and what pass protections do. So he's like, well, let's be different. Let's scramble up what the traditional gap sound approach is, and let's do some wacky stuff like this. And it works. You got a lot of pressure here. Zach is splitting the double team. Some of these guys are not. You don't switch a twist like this generally. Mike does a great job of occupying the center, and it just kind of all works in concert. And then you've got Jack's got the big one-on-one where he's bull rushing, pressuring the guy. So it's interesting because if you really get down to the nuances, Mike Hall is on this side of the shoulder, and he steps here, brings the center, kind of grabs the center, and then you have I believe that's Tehran. Looks like 6 coming out here, occupying the tackle, and so the guard, he's kind of confused, and then you have Zach looping down the middle. So really, this is a tough scheme to get, And when you have guys that are on different levels trying to block Zach, it's really tough. Now, obviously, we gave up too much there, but we were able to defend the sticks. And then obviously we have the punt here that Emeka muffs, which again, I don't love Emeka being back as our punt returner because I think he's our best receiver. And again, he's super dangerous, but I think we're so thin. You got to find somebody else back there that can field a punt and take some of the strain off of Emeka. Because with our injury situation at wide receiver, if we lose him or Marvin, we're really up against the creek. So there's the muff. We come right down. Nevada, what are your comments on Denzel Burke? Because he's about to give up his touchdown in this one, but what do you think has changed? What do you think is going wrong there? What are you hearing that the coaches are doing to adjust his techniques? I mean, I know he's a grinder, he's a tough kid, but man, he has not been productive this year.
No, but he's been battling an injury, and I think that's kind of affecting his confidence. And clearly, he's playing with a different kind of energy than he's been all last year. I mean, we watched him pretty carefully last year. I mean, he is who he is. He kind of overachieved a little bit last year. Right now, he's not playing at the same level, and I think at this point, it's kind of like a offensive tackle that's struggling. And you always talk about when an offensive tackle is struggling, you need to give him some help. Roll or a running back over the top. To have a tight end come over and chip, do something to give the guy help. But you don't just leave him out there and let him continue to struggle. Well, right now with Denzel, he's just continuing to struggle, and I think Ohio State's got to just kind of give him a break, but give him a chance to kind of readjust his mental attitude, his mental outlook, and his energy, and try to find himself. And I think that's where the break's coming up at a really good time for a guy like that. And I think I could see him really using the time off to great effect and have him come in and be better for us in the second half.
Yeah, it's really interesting on a rundown. You put JT Tuimoloau out as the defensive tackle here at 3 technique. He's traditionally been our end. Put Mike Hall out here at end. And then you've got Jack, the guy that makes this play is Teron. Teron's outstanding here. Pool guard, easy play, and Teron just devastates him right back into the back. Jack Sawyer, very physical here, taking on the lead blocker, and Tommy around the ball. There's just nowhere to go. But Teron, this is as good as you can do it by Teron. He's the guy that really makes this play here. But Tommy, you see the route again. This is something I keep saying it. I didn't see it as much last year. The rally to the ball. Where is he going to go when you have this many hats running to the ball? Frankly, as an offense, it's demoralizing when you have guys that rally to the ball like that, because you know that if you miss something, there's going to be 1 or 2 more hats coming to get the guy down. Again, a really, really good job by our guys on this one. What has been your biggest improvement? I mean, obviously schematically being sound, that you think Jim Knowles has brought to this defense. It's now rated 14th in the country.
Well, you talked about the biggest thing, and this is kind of it's a hard thing really to kind of put your finger on, but the biggest thing is these guys just really believe in this defense right now. The players believe, and last year they didn't. Kerry Combs lost the room, and so it was so bad. It was to the point where Ryan Day actually contemplated making a move in the middle of the season, which is almost unheard of. And I think with this team, these guys believe in Knowles. They believe in what he's saying. They're buying into what he's saying, and as a result, you see all those little things. You see them rallying to the ball. You see them use the energy is just so good on the defensive side of the ball, because you've got a team that's really in sync, and that's the biggest difference for us, as opposed to anything schematically or any individual change that they've made. Is just belief's the big thing. It's a powerful motivator for anybody in any parts of your life. For these guys believe that they're going to be better. They go out and they perform better as a result, and that's all a credit to Jim Knowles and the belief that he's instilled in these guys in a very short period of time.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one where you can't have much better pass rush than this. I mean, this is literally 1 second catch throw. But I mean, you see the pocket is collapsing. We're getting a great push in the middle. Jack Sawyer wins versus the left tackle. He's about an inch away from running through the back and the quarterback. But yeah, Denzel, again, I think it's a confidence issue. I'm sure that they're trying to figure out how to get this kid to tick. I mean, he's been 5, he's been 10. Personally, I think he should go back to 129, what he wore last year when he was really good. But I mean, he gives up another touchdown, and again, the vultures on social media and the vultures that generally aren't very smart football people are just tearing this kid apart right now. So, you worry about his confidence, you worry about his mental state, just because he's getting picked on. The guy that we thought was going to be a projected All Big Ten corner has not been good, and so here, we have an initial. We're initially down versus Rutgers. Obviously they're all excited. They think they have a chance. I mean, really, we know they don't have a chance, but it's just one of those things where I think that they got to figure out what makes them tick. I think JK's been really good. Jair Brown didn't play nearly as much as he did the week before, which was interesting, and it took a while for him to get into the game. Here's the surprise on side. Again, when you play Greg Schiano, they're going to do every stupid thing in the book to try to get to catch you sleeping. Really, that's great by JB. JB really does a good job there, Jade Ballard. Because in all likelihood you can't stop Ohio State, so you might as well try to get some cheap turnovers or a cheap onside recovery or whatever you could do just to get these guys right. So CJ gets tremendous field position, and we started off with our buck sweep here, which is, this is like a staple from my high school days that, we're in the old buck sweep where you pull you pull both guards. Decent kick, decent wall. Could be better at the point. I think Cade's doing a nice job there, hanging in there, but there's just not a lot of room. We can't get up to the this isn't great by Matt Jones. I think Matt could be a little more physical here. He gets to the point and kind of gets bounced on the ground. His guy makes the tackle, so I'm sure he got graded down for that. But Nevada, your thoughts on Mayan? Mayan had he's been coming, chugging along. I think that the blessing in disguise for Trey being hurt is that you actually get to have a workhorse for once, because I think that one of the dumbest things we do is I think we rotate our running backs too much, and these guys can't ever get any type of feel for the game because they're in for one play, 2 plays, they're in for one series. Mayan was the true workhorse, got the boatload of carries, and he got better as the game went on, and he was wearing guys out. But talk a little bit about Mayan, his ascension to being, really the number one running back, statistically on the team right now.
Well, I think it's the curse of having 2 great running backs, and I would liken it. It's almost a similar situation to like when you have 2 great quarterbacks on your roster, and you think, oh, what could be better than having 2 great quarterbacks? Well, both of them can't play at the same time, and so you always got one guy out there, the other guy not there, and the other guy trying to do too much when he's out there. Or in hockey, if you have 2 great goalies, and the goalie, then you get out there, you get your time, and you're going to try to do too much when you're out there. It's almost kind of the situation we have with the running backs, where you've got 2 great running backs, and Mayan is running absolutely. If I've had one nit to pick with him during his time at Ohio State, it's been that I think he tends to cut it back a little too much. I know the coaches have worked with him on that a lot, and he's really, really improved in that area. And he is if I hate to give anybody a 10 out of 10 right now, but he's a 9.9 as far as I'm concerned as a running back, and running with authority, finding the holes. He's doing it all. Just can't say enough good things about him. But it's almost a curse for Ohio State to have those 2 guys, because I think he's a different running back when he's getting all the carries. And I'd say the same thing for Trey. I think if Trey was the only running back and getting all the carries, I actually think they'd be better off in the situation they're in. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse. But, I'd rather, they say a pair and a spare. In this case, we've got 2 terrific running backs, and Mayan's obviously at the top of his game. It's going to help Trey Henderson get a lot healthier, a lot faster. I can tell you that, because he's not going to want to sit out too long, because if he does, he may not get back on the field.
Yeah, this is a great scheme troll job by Kevin Wilson and Rande. They know that Greg Schiano is like 99% man coverage, which is why teams like Iowa would scorch us with their tight ends, because they refuse to call cover 3. It's why Purdue, some of these teams are just absolutely annihilate us, because they'd scheme us up and they say, hey, they're in man every play. So we run our little short orbit motion across the field, and it's great because 5, he's in man and he's running with Marvin, and he literally picks his own linebacker. because again, this isn't an accident that they ran this motion and they knew that they'd get man coverage and they picked the linebacker. And the release, the guy that really does a great job here is Donnie. So Donnie's down here at left guard, and he's releasing almost like it's a screen because he's anticipating him flying down here. This is just a basic, this is just a basic, zone play, but they get it mucked up. I mean, this is about as bad of a stunt look check. I mean, this thing's all gap. They're outflanked immediately by what this end does here. And PJ has about the easiest reach block I've ever seen. So PJ, he gets him hooked easy. And then, Luke does his best to reach the 3 technique, gets the reach here. And Donnie just goes flat, and he's going for this frontside linebacker who's getting picked. They're probably saying, hey, this guy is going to kind of momentarily like pick the linebacker, kind of like a pick play in the NFL where they act like you're running a route, but they're really trying to pick a DB. And it gives them just enough for Donnie to get there. And the force player, the safety, misses the tackle because he overruns it. So you just have this big, beautiful gaping hole right here. Because this is tough. Luke's on him. You got Matt up here, and he's up here. He can climb and go to the next level. But Matt. In mine outruns Matt. But again, this is great execution. It's great scheme. I mean, really, the scheme's what makes this play because they know that he's going to be in man. They know 5 is going to be with Marvin. He's running off into Never Land, nowhere near the play. It's just like. Yeah, but when you're a man coverage team 100% of the time or damn near that, like it's going to be, you're going to be able to do stuff like that to teams. And that was one of our big issues with Kerry Combs last year against Oregon is, Joe Moore had figured out that we could run a simple little motion and it would get these guys to basically, not be able to crack or place. And they did it time and time again. And I was just like sitting in the press or I was sitting in, upstairs, and I was like, I can't believe that no one's calling this out because it was incredible. But this is great by Donnie. Donnie does such a good job here. This is tough. Kind of puts a shoulder through PJ's guy, which he doesn't really need to do, but he's just trying to get flat to get to 17. Because for Donnie, he's in a race with a guy who's a better athlete. 17's a better athlete than Donnie is. Donnie's a fantastic athlete, but this guy is probably 70 pounds lighter. So he's going flat. Donnie's going flat. And Donnie gets there again. It's this great effort. Keeps his feet moving, gets enough of it, and gets us down to the 3-yard line. Nevada, one of the biggest bones that most people had with Ryan Day after this game was our short red area offense, which is short red area is like inside the 7 going in, and I mean there was some. I just have no idea what he's doing. Sometimes we try to be too cute and not just hand it to buy-in. But what were your thoughts on our short red area execution?
Well, I think we have to keep things in perspective. I think we're number 1 in the country in red zone TD conversion. I think we're converting for TDs at like 92% of the time, and we're way up there in terms of scoring. So when we're talking about criticisms, these are gentle criticisms. These are not like really bad. These are first world problems that we're having. But absolutely, it seemed like Ryan Day was trying to pad CJ Stroud's numbers, was really trying to get him his Heisman moment, trying to get him his 5 touchdown passes. And when we got away from running the ball, we struggled a little bit. And then when we got back to running the ball, we scored pretty quickly and relatively easily. So the play calling seemed wonky. And it seemed like a game that we were out of sorts, but heck, we still ended up winning by 39, and that's not all bad.
Yeah, I mean, I just think numbers wise, I mean, if you just climb here, one of these guys has to meet mine in the hole. I mean, this guy's not making the play. If you just run, your normal zone play right up the middle, I just don't know how, you don't block it. These are easy angles. This guy's an overhang out here. He's not going to be in the act at all. But, we got to do this little sprint out pass to try to get Marvin or Emeka. And the thing that, and again, this is, obviously Ryan's scheme is tremendous. And he's got his little guy back pylon, front pylon. This guy, Emeka's just running this and, Marvin's running this. And, it's like 1 to 2, pick one. But, they know Ryan's concepts. He loves running this play where you kind of have a front and a back pylon read, easy read. But, I don't like seeing CJ get hit. I think that, this is something where it's too easy to just do your job. I don't know. So then the next play, of course, they run it out. What most people would run is just hand it to Mayan on the 1 yard line and let him plunge in the end zone for one of his 5 touchdowns. But yeah, it's just interesting because sometimes I feel like I know that we're number one in the country, but we're playing Rutgers. We've played Arkansas State, we've played Toledo, Notre Dame we found out really isn't that great. Wisconsin just fired their coach. But the thing is other than Penn State and Michigan, I think that we can keep padding those stats, and I think we're going to be pretty gaudy by the end of the year, offensively and defensively. But yeah, here's Mayan plunging in again. This is just so easy when you're that big, strong, tough runner like Mayan is, and it was great to see him feast. So, we're gonna close this one down. Nevada, any final thoughts? I see this man down for Rutgers. Just based on what we were able to get done versus Rutgers, and moving on to Michigan State this week.
Well, no, I just think it's going to be an interesting week of practice. Like I said, getting ready for a road game, getting kind of into that road game preparation, and for Ohio State, Michigan State's, they're not a good team. I think I really have a good feeling about this Ohio State team for this week. I feel like this year, if you follow my picks for the games, I've been pretty spot on. I think I've got a finger on the pulse of this team, and I really think this is going to be a big effort by Ohio State. I'm telling all you bettors, I would bet Ohio State in this game, lay the points, take the easy cover. I think this is going to be a big effort, and I think Michigan State's in a lot of trouble. I think that they're going to have trouble matching up. I think it's going to be another Wisconsin type of debacle, and I think Ohio State's going to roll and have a good week of practice and head into the bye week 6-0 and feeling good.
Yeah, I think with Jim Knowles' defense and the way we're defending the run, these guys are rallying to the ball. Their gaps down. They're playing really, really, really good technical defense. I think it makes it difficult for teams like Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Michigan State, we're going to run the ball. We're going to burn the clock. We're going to play good defense. I don't think it works when you're only running at 2 yards a clip because Jim Knowles' defense is so much better. Like it wasn't the case last year where teams could run it on us a little bit, but this year it's a totally different ball of wax when you're not getting the yards per carry that you did last year. And I think with Ryan Day's offense, I think these teams, they know if they go down 14 or 21 rip, it's over. I mean, they can't. The game plan goes out the window. The ground and pound, slow the game down, keep the offense off the field. It doesn't work because most of these teams, if we're just being honest, they can't throw the ball at all. These are some of the worst passing offenses I've ever seen in the Big Ten. And when you're trying to do that versus Ohio State, which is one of the best passing attacks in the history of the Big Ten, it just gets ugly in a hurry. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys. As always, we're going to jump on the scoop boards. Nevada and I are on there. Bill Greene is on there. We're going to be grinding all night, working some great stuff. We got some inside stuff coming. We got B. Moses, got C. Grant, got TJ Downing, Oracle. We've got some really good people. They're getting their intel from their sources inside the program. It has really, really been a fun thing. Growing like crazy. We appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like, comment. Who are your MVPs? Is it anybody other than Mayan? Because Mayan's going to be the offensive MVP. Who's your defensive MVP? Maybe give me 2 offensive MVPs if there's someone other than Mayan, because Mayan obviously had the best game of his career, so he's probably going to sweep that. But appreciate you guys as always. If you guys aren't following us on our podcast formats, please find us on Apple Podcasts, find us on Spotify, and any other podcast platform. We send it out to everywhere through our distributor. Search Scoop World Order, search Morning Scoop. We are out there. We appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a 5-star review. It helps people find new episodes and find the best Buckeye content on the web. So as always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Scoop family. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.